My name's Sean, this is Lara, we are from Advanced Commerce. Just like to kick off by saying a big thank you to the Rusty Monkey team. I'm sure you'll agree it's been a fantastic event today. Now I am aware that we're the last speakers on and we're the only thing in between yourselves and a nice drink at the bar, so we promise to keep it short and sweet. But we're here today to talk to you about why product sequencing is your secret weapon, the disconnect between marketing and merchandising, and then I'm going to hand you over to Lara and she's going to tell you what it is you can do about it. Now, you might be wondering why I've got a deck of cards in my hand. Unfortunately, I haven't got any magic tricks for you today, but I'd like you to imagine for a brief moment that your entire online product catalogue is represented by this deck of 52 cards. Now, typically, and quite shockingly, the average person coming onto your site will only ever see a small percentage, around 3% of your online total product catalogue. And that can be represented by just 2 cards. And that means that the other 50 cards, or 97% of your online product catalogue, remains hidden. And this makes the decisions you make about your product sequencing very important, and means it's absolutely critical to show the right products on the first few pages. So what's the role of the retailer in all of this? The role of the retailer is to help shoppers navigate what we call the paradox of choice. With more choice than ever before, it's becoming increasingly difficult for customers to make decisions, and it's up to the retailer to make it easier for them. Unlike in brick and mortar stores, online, there's no physical limits to shelf space, and substitution is easy. You best believe that if someone comes onto your site and doesn't find what they're looking for, pretty quickly, they're going to bounce straight back to where they came from and shop elsewhere, most likely with your competition. Shoppers, more than ever, are voting with their feet. And the final point I've got on there is attention spans. And I want a little bit of audience participation here, but I want you to put your hand up if you've ever heard of, seen or watched Love Island. Okay, it's actually more than I thought. And I hope there's no ITV producers in the house, but Love Island's what I describe as a bit of a background programme. And by that, I mean that when you're watching Love Island, you've probably got your phone out, flicking through TikTok, on the group chat. You know, you might even have your laptop out and your iPad in the mix as well. Your attention is all over the place. So for retailers, not only have they got to think about the fact that there's more choice online than ever before for customers, they've got to think about the fact that there's more competition than ever before, and they're also fighting over our dwindling attention spans. And that is why product sequencing is your secret weapon. Shoppers need your help to find what it is they're looking for. And just like the care and attention that retailers spend with their shelf space in brick and mortar stores, they need to spend the same care and attention with their online shelf space. But why would you bother? Well, we know that if you get it right, if you nail your product sequencing, you nail your product merchandising, all the key metrics, so conversion, AOV, bounce and return rates are going to move in the right direction. And what's really powerful about online merchandising is that you're not just serving all of your customers on one shop floor. You can actually show each one of the visitors to your site a different product sequence dependent on who they are. But fewer people are taking advantage of this than you'd actually realise. In fact, what we find is there's often a disconnect between marketing and merchandising. You might be familiar with this scenario. Marketing teams spending a load of money learning and understanding about their customers and using tools to put them into different customer segments. They then spend a load of time creating lists and personas. The next step is to send out personalized marketing campaigns, whether that be via emails, social media, Google ads, marketing campaigns that are truly personalized and they think really understand the customer. But then what? They click through on that link, they click through on that ad, and they're all shown the same generic homepage. So all that money, all that time, all that blood, sweat and tears that you've taken to get those people to your website is out the window. And now those shoppers are on your site and they're having to navigate to find the products or the categories that they wanted to see in the first place. And this is the disconnect between marketing and making more sales. Now I'm going to pass you over to Lara and she's going to talk to you about what you can do about it.
Thank you, Sean. Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here. Thanks again, Rusty Monkey, for an amazing day. So as Sean has talked about, you might be familiar with this challenge where, you're spending all this money and time creating these gorgeous, really relevant ad campaigns. But then when the user goes onto your online site, that experience sort of drops off. And the good news is that you have all the data from your merchandising and your customer segments to do something about it. And you can make your ad campaigns just as relevant as your merchandising campaigns. But what we need to think about when we're talking about our online merchandising is these questions. And this is information that we already know about our customers. So the first thing is, what channel have they come from? And we've talked a lot today about all the different channels. But you know where they've come from, so you can use that information to tailor their online experience. And on top of that, you know what they clicked on. Was it a particular pair of trainers that they're interested in? In which case, when they click through the link, they should see those exact trainers. If they were interested in an email about your new summer collection, then when they click onto your site, they should see your new summer collection. So using what we know about what channel they've come from and what they've engaged with is really, really important. Also, who are they? Are they a new customer? In which case, how can we use our merchandising to tell them a story about our brand and who we are? And if they're a returning customer, well then how can we personalize the experience? How can we use all the things that we know about them to make the experience even more relevant once they're already on your site? What segment do they belong to? So there's been a lot of talk today about creating customer segments, and we know this can be really, really powerful. But if you know this, then you can use that to also create your merchandising experiences that are far more relevant. What assumptions can you make based on those segments? And then finally, what are they clicking on? So once they're on your site, what do we know they're engaging with? So I'm going to show you some examples now of how we could merchandise differently to different customers based on these questions and what we know about them. So I don't know how much you all know about ladies retail. Some of you may, but I want you to all put yourself in the mindset of a merchandiser for a women's wear retailer. So I'm going to show you a few examples of some customers, and the first customer we're going to talk about is Amy. So Amy has just got an email to say that we're having our end of season sale on dresses. Amy's a big bargain hunter, so she clicks straight on the link, and imagine she's brought straight through to this page. So straight away, she's seeing the dresses that have good stock availability that are on sale. There's a seamless experience from when she's seen the email, clicked through to the site, and landed exactly where she wants to be on the site. So all we've done is use what we know about Amy, which is that she's a bargain hunter, she wants a sale item, and put those products in front of her. Let's take a different example. So example B is Bella. See what I did there? So Bella's a new customer. She's never shopped with us before, but she's scrolling on Instagram. She's a bit bored, working from home. She's looking at the sunshine outside, and next thing she sees your ad for your new bright spring dresses. So in a moment of impulse, she clicks in. Now I want you to imagine two different scenarios. In the first scenario, she clicks through and she's brought to your homepage. No sign of bright dresses. So now she's thinking, okay, I'm going to have to start filtering, searching, navigating through the site to try find them. She might do it, but there's a good chance she'll just lock her phone and go back to work. In the second scenario, she jumps onto this page. And that inspiration that inspired her to click on the ad in the first place, these spring bright dresses, is carried through into her merchandising. And she's landing exactly where she needs to be. And before she knows it, there's two in her basket. Why? Because there was no friction, no moment of pause or hesitation. That story that you've been telling in your marketing, all that marketing budget that's gone into hooking her in the first place, has then continued in her online merchandising experience. And I've got one last example for you. We've got Clara, and she's logged in to her profile on Google. So this is an easy win because we know Clara and we know what she's like, and she's a bit of a fashionista and we know she's a big spender. So we're not going to waste any time on Clara showing her sale items. We're going to show her our premium high-end products because we know who she is. And because she's a known customer and a loyal customer, we can even personalize that further. So we're not doing anything crazy here. It's not it's a very simple concept, really. It's just using what we know about these customers based on what channel they've come from, what they've clicked on, what segment they belong to, and using that to tailor the online experience. It's really, really simple, but a lot of retailers right now just don't have the tools in place to be able to do things like this. And I guess another point to note is that actually these three shoppers have all been on the same category page. So they've all just been on the dresses page. The only difference has been the product sequence. So you'll remember for Amy, she's getting all the sale items pushed to the top of the page because that's what she's interested in. For Bella, she's getting all the bright dresses pushed to the top of the page because it's what she wants to see. And then Clara, we're showing her our premium high-end products. But they're all seeing the same category page, just a different product sequence. So I guess what's the takeaway from all this? Well, you know so much about your customers. And once they're on your site, you know where they've come from. You know what they're interested in. You know what segment they belong to. You know if they're new or returning. So use all that intel in your online merchandising. It's really all about relevance and using everything you know to make that journey as relevant as possible for every single customer. Or back to Sean's point, if they're only ever going to see 2 cards out of the deck, how can you make sure that they're the best 2 cards, the cards they're most likely to fall in love with and purchase? So a few top tips if you are looking for a merchandising tool. First is speed. So there's kind of 2 elements to this. The first is that it needs to obviously not slow down your site, so site speed is super important. But the second thing is that you need to be able to make changes quickly to your site. So if you suddenly need to change your merchandising strategy, you need to be able to do that quick. The second is easy to use. This is really, really crucial with merchandising platforms. So a lot of the tools out there are very technical, and this can work really well for large retailers with big tech teams, but it can be really challenging when you have a smaller team. Often we find it's just 1 or 2 people that are using the merchandising tool. And more likely than not, they're non-technical users. They're merchandisers or they're e-com executives. So the tool needs to be user-friendly. To get the value out of it, it needs to be able to be used to the full extent by the people using it, which often is not technical people. It needs to offer a high degree of automation. So this is really important to be able to kind of create that really relevant merchandising that I talked about for Amy, Bella and Clara. You need to be able to automate and to make it scalable. But also it's interesting when we talk to merchandisers, there's actually quite a challenge that they have with a lot of churn within the industry because there's a lot of very repetitive tasks, very manual tasks, and they can have a lot of churn within their staff. So automating things, making things easy for the teams, that's really, really important. And finally, you need a tool that is flexible enough to allow you to create different merchandising strategies and have different merchandising personas so that you can carry that really relevant marketing into your online merchandising. So that's pretty much everything from me. As you know, well, we're from Advanced Commerce, so this is what we do. And obviously, if anyone wants to talk about merchandising, come and say hello, come and have a chat, or drop us an email. But as Sean said, I know it's been, a really amazing, long day, so I won't keep you any longer. But yeah, it was really great to be here. Thanks again, Rusty Monkey, guys. It was a brilliant event. Loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry, this kind of talk is mainly about the merchandising, but we're actually a merchandising search and personalization platform. So we have a fully functioning site search. And I think what's pretty cool about our site search is that you can merchandise it. So all of the search results can be fully merchandised, and so can our personalization. So pretty neat tool. Yeah, so I think what we do is we only do 1 page, so you don't have to build new pages in your ecom platform, and you don't have to wait for any caching. It all runs in memory. So I think really just in terms of site speed, that's kind of the key factor, is being able to have everything just running on the 1 page. It makes it super, super quick. Yes. So just a bit of background about the company. So I don't know if many of you know Andre, who's our founder, but he previously founded Attract, who acquired Fred Hopper. So they're 2 quite big search and merch players in Europe. He's been in the industry a long time. So he's taken kind of all his learnings from that experience and put them into kind of this new platform. And this was one of the key things that he had learned. So for merchandisers, it's really important to be able to schedule, which seems like a really simple thing. But actually, a lot of merchandisers are literally like waking up at 6 a.m. on Boxing Day to set up their sale. You know what I mean? This is the reality of a lot of merchandisers' lives. And that timing is so critical. If it's, a sale, if it's Black Friday, if it's a new launch, you have to have that timing. So yeah, everything can be scheduled, which is really useful. So we actually had an email from a client this January saying they'd had the best Christmas ever because they just did everything before and then went home. So that was nice. So is this if you schedule something for kind of a couple of months in advance sort of thing?
Yeah.
So we just launched a new joint product with another company called Dressipy. So that includes real-time personalization. So all of that personalization is done in session in real time, based on their intent in that session. With the Graphene HC platform, which is kind of the standard platform, there is personalization in there as well, which does take into account the activity, and also kind of wisdom of the crowd, that kind of collaborative filtering personalization as well.